Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to take a look at this Orient Mako II Blue. Orient has two different models lined up for their affordable dive watches. One is the Orient Mako or Mako and the other one is Orient Ray. The name Mako I believe is derived from the name the Mako shark or the Mako shark, and the Ray is obviously from the ray fish. The major visual differences between the Mako and the Ray is that the numeral and baton markers on the Mako are a more traditional rounded markers on the Ray. Another difference is the bezel insert. On the Mako, the printing is slightly smaller and it looks a little bit more subtle than the rugged look of the Ray. Both the Mako and the Ray comes in a variety of color. The traditional color will be the black, blue, and there's a Pepsi colored version for the Mako as well. And there is also a PVD, a full black PVD version for the Ray that is called the Ray Raven. But I'm not sure whether there's any full black PVD version for the Mako. This piece here is the second generation of the Orient Mako and Ray line. In generation 2, the movements have been upgraded to have hand winding and hacking. Overall, there is not much visual differences between the first generation and the second generation. Apart from the first generation Mako and Ray, they have another pusher at the 2 o'clock position for them to change the day of the calendar. And also for this generation 2, I believe that the bezel has been upgraded from a 60-click unidirectional bezel to now 120-click unidirectional bezel. Let's get straight into the dimensions of the watch. This watch has a case diameter of 41.5 millimeters, excluding the crown. It has a thickness of 13 millimeters. It has a lug to lug distance of 47 millimeters, and the lug width is 22 millimeters. The case has a brush finishing on the top, I think a circular brush finishing on the top of the lugs, and high polish on the sides. It has, as I mentioned earlier, a 120-click unidirectional bezel, but it's kind of hard to grip the bezel because of the sort of like bevel design of the bezel, and the edge is kind of too thin for me to grip it properly. So sometimes I will have to, instead of holding the edges, the edge or the ridges on the edge, I will have to really like push down to get a frictional grip on the bezel. The bezel action is very positive. There is actually no back play whatsoever on the bezel. I think this is very well made. And this piece has a water resistance of 200 meters. Of course, there is no ISO certification for this piece. The 200 meter water resistance is like a general in-house kind of testing for the 200 meter water resistance. It has a flat mineral crystal. There is no anti-reflective coating. It has a sign crown, and the crown is screw-in, of course. But I do feel that the crown is a bit too small, especially when you're trying to wind the watch and when you're trying to screw back in the crown. It's kind of hard to have a good grip on the crown because if you look at it, the crown guard is they are actually quite big, but the crown itself, it's slightly too small. Right? Let's go to the bracelet. Here we have a fully brushed bracelet. Okay, the sides of the bracelet are highly polished, and as usual, this is just a normal push pin bracelet. And it has a safety fold-over clasp with a push button deployant, but it's just a pressed metal clasp. And on the inside, it has hollow end links, but all the links are solid. And what is nice is that Orion actually did a very good job on embossing the Orion shield and Orion logo on the clasp. I think it is, even though it's just a pressed metal, but it's done very nice. On the face of the watch, the dial has a blue sunburst effect. I'm not sure whether if you can see it in this lighting, but under the correct lighting, it's very obvious that it has a sunburst effect. All the hour markers are applied with 12, 9, and 6 being numeral and the rest being a baton kind of markers. And all the markers and the hands, they have lume, but I'm not sure what kind of lume does Orient use for their watches, but it's kind of okay. I mean, it doesn't last very long, but it's still okay and good to have. The hand on this piece, they are highly polished. There is lume on the hour and minute hands, but there is no lume on the second hand. But there is a red painted tip on the second hand. The hour and minute hands has a sword-like design, and it has a day and date window with a nice metallic frame around the window. But again, my usual complaint is that I do wish that the date wheel is rather black color rather than white. It also has a blue chapter ring with all the minute markers, and it has an applied Orion logo that is very nicely done. Let me just move the hand away so that you can see the Orion logo better. It has the word automatic printed and water resist 200 meters all printed. Now I'm struggling to screw back the crown because, as I mentioned, it's slightly too small. And on the back of the watch, we have a solid screw down case back. Nothing very fanciful. Of course, there's the Orion logo engraved, and with the usual water resistance 200 meter stainless steel engraved. Okay. Powering this piece is an in-house movement. I think the movement number is F6922. The movement beats at 21,600 beats per hour. It has a rated accuracy of plus 25 to minus 15 seconds per day. It is hand windable and hackable. It has a power reserve of about 40 hours. It has quick day and date setting. This is how the watch looks on my 6-inch wrist. I think it wears quite comfortably, and the lug to lug distance is not too long. It's just 47 millimeters, and due to the curvature of the lug ends, I think it sits quite well even on my small wrist. Alright, let's wrap up this video. I would highly recommend this piece if you are looking to get your first diver style watch. Yes, of course, this is not a certified diver, but most of us wouldn't really go diving with a mechanical watch nowadays, I guess. If you're really going diving, most of us will actually get a dive computer. And with the upgraded movement that allows hand winding, this is definitely convenient if you have several pieces in your collection. You can just quickly wind up the watch, let's say if it stops. There is some things I wish that Orient can improve on, maybe if they're planning to reissue the next generation of the Mako and Ray line. First of all is I hope that they can make the crown slightly bigger, and the second thing is to make the bezel slightly more grippable. I think that's my only two complaints on this piece. Other than that, this is certainly a great watch for the price. And I have one confession to make on this piece. I really love how the Orion logo look on this piece. I think Orion has done a good job in getting their logo made well. And as you can see, there is a red accent in the middle of the shield. Even though it is so small, I think Orient did a very good job, and they managed to get their logo right. So that's it for this video. If you're new to this channel, I do hope that you can subscribe to my channel. It does help me a lot. And don't forget to follow me on my Instagram, gfw_watch, for more watch pictures and content. And that's it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.